sound speeds. And if you're in the market for accessories to help you place lavalier microphones on people, then you're in the right place, because in this video, I'm going to be showing you some of the product offerings from a company called Bubblebee Industries. Now, if you're not familiar with Bubblebee, they specialize in wind protection, everything from shotgun microphones all the way down to lavalier microphone wind protection. And a few years ago, they got into the market of making a whole bunch of high quality accessories to help microphones be placed on people regardless of the wind protection options needed. But before we get going, full disclosure, Bubblebee did send me the products that are featured in this video in exchange for a fair presentation of them. Now, I do get to keep them following this presentation, but I'm not going to allow that to affect my opinion, so you expect this to be a fair and honest presentation. And I also want to thank Trew Audio Atlanta for providing me with the lavalier microphones featured in this video. Now, why don't we waste no more time and get right on into it. Bubblebee, not to be confused with Bumblebee, which your autocorrect is going to love to try to confuse you on, is a company that specializes in wind protection, everything from lavalier to full-size shotgun microphones. And this is probably one of their most well-known products right here, the Windbubble. Now, this was also one of the original products that is used for lavalier microphones. Now, they do, if you look at the back, have different sizes, and it's for different lavaliers of different diameters. Now, we're going to be using the COS 11 version right here. And so you can see on the front here, it shows you what color it is for. Now, there are 6 total colors as of the time of this video that are available: black, white, gray, brown, off-white, and then beige. So we're going to start off by just looking at this product and what it can do. When you first take out a wind bubble, it looks like a little fuzzball, but there are 2 little bitty antenna looking things on top, and that is so that you can identify the opening for your lavalier microphone to go inside. Now, when you put it inside, you'll notice that it comes out very easily, and so what you might want to do is take those 2 little antenna things and use those to wrap some sort of adhesive around your microphone. That's going to prevent it from coming off. Now, you don't need to cram it all the way in. You can just push it all the way in and then back it off ever so slightly, and then attach your antennas, I'm going to call them, to the side of the lavalier itself. Now, the reason you would do that is because it's going to work on the principle of getting a little pocket of air, a little cushion of air around the inside of this framework. Now, it is extremely light, and so it doesn't really feel like a whole lot of anything. I mean, I feel the weight of the lav mic over the wind bubble here. Now, you may look at this and say that's quite big. Well, this is obviously for a heavy-duty wind application for your lavalier microphone. So gale force winds, anytime you have wind machines, something like that, that's when you're going to be able to hide this pretty effectively inside of clothing. And it would sandwich in there into a jacket pretty nicely, right in the little V at the top. But if you have a collar, and that is going to be a lower profile option for you, if someone's wearing like a regular button-up shirt and they're trying to hide it, under here, for example, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you to hide this big monster-sized puffball. Now, obviously, that's not the right size. You wouldn't really want to put a big, huge thing like that underneath a shirt seam like that, but you might have a better result if you were to try it in the underside of a collar. So if this was the only option that you have at your disposal, then you might have to resort to something like that if it's heavy winds like E-fans and such. But you would not want to use this color, which is why Bubblebee offers 6 different colors with this wind bubble. They have the black, the white, the gray, the brown, the off-white, and the beige. Now, you can get them in a variety of different types of kits. Now, you would want to protect it, obviously, in the wind bubble metal tin. So if you bought multiples from something like their twin bubble, or if you wanted to get the all-star pack that includes some of every single color, I think there's a total of 9 of them in there actually, then you can as well. But I definitely suggest you protecting them by keeping them in something like this metal tin whenever you're not using them. The Bubblebee Lav Concealer has probably become one of their most notorious products on the market, and that's probably because of the design here. Now, if you notice, there are various different options available for different types of microphones, like the Countryman B6, the DPA 6060, DPA 4060, and the COS 11. We're going to use the COS 11 today. Now, if you notice, white and black are the only options that you really have for these as of the time of this video. Now, they do have a green campaign come out, but I've only seen these in white or black as of right now. So I think the green, even though I could be mistaken on that, The green, and I'll put it up on the screen right now, may not be an actual color scheme, but we'll see. Now, if you notice the concealer here, it comes in a kit that has a couple of these little wire frames on it. Now, these wire frames, I normally don't use the one on the bottom there, even though you could use it to clip it onto clothing or something like that if you'd like to. I don't use it on the bottom when I use the adhesive, because then it kind of gets in my way of putting the lavalier on there, and you can't very easily stick it down to clothing. But notice it does say cost 11 on it, so you know what it's going to go with. Now, if you notice the little metal pieces, like this little piece I just took off, or this piece here that you can very easily slide out and replace with this one, these are designed to keep the microphone from making noise when it's inside the concealer against clothing or something to that nature. So you can remove these if you don't want to use them. But as we know with soundproofing means dense metal, concrete, those kind of materials. And this is metal, so it's going to prevent vibrations from traveling into the rubber mount, which is going to then transfer to the microphone. Now, if you want to stick your lavalier into it, then what you would do is press outwards ever so slightly, making a little bit more of an opening, which allows you to press the lavalier microphone straight up on the inside like this. Now, you do want to press it all the way through until you see it peeking out in there, and that's going to allow the capsule to be out on the surface of the mount there, so that way you can stick it on something. And clothing-wise, and it's not going to have a buried lavalier capsule. It's going to be protected also by this metal. Now, what do you use to attach this to clothing or skin? You can put it on either one. Well, how about their own adhesive? And if you look at it, you'll notice that it does have, once you remove this, it does have a little design that is indicative of which way it's going to go. So you see right here, if I were to stick it over the surface and then take off this little tab. You see that? It is now ready for action. So I can now stick this directly to my skin, and it's not going anywhere. Even with this little slight touch like that, it's not going anywhere. And because the lavalier microphone is inside of a rubber mount, it's going to take a lot of pressure before you're actually going to be able to remove it. And when you want to remove it, you simply peel it off the skin. It didn't actually hurt at all. And then you can reset this back to 1 by pulling off the adhesive off of the back of it. Now, I don't have any fingernails right now. I just got through trimming them off, but you can see that it's very easy to get on and off of your microphone. Now, if you don't end up being able to keep hold of these little metal bits and you want to get yourself some spares, they do sell spares. Get off adhesive. You can see how good it works right there. They do sell these as a kit. So you can get the spare regulars, or you can get the tiny spares. And if you are using the same lav on someone every single day, for example, on a reality show, for example, maybe they put a transmitter pack on their belt or in their waist, and you have constantly got a lot of extra cable, then what you can do is wrap it around the cable saver. That's going to hold it to the exact same length every single day, so that way you could just clip it on their belt, run it up and over their back, pop it through a tie, and you don't have to worry about all the extra cable. So something like this would be great if you're going to be using it on a lavalier microphone for an extended period of time on some sort of a show. So someone like a judge, or someone that wears constantly their transmitter pack inside of their coat pocket, and they do the same kind of rig every single day, something like a cable saver will help take up the excess cable so you don't have it to manage. Now, these little kits are pretty cool. They are a grab-and-go lavalier microphone solution. So they fit any microphone you want to connect up to it. So, for example, your adhesives are in the top here, which are these little pieces right here. They're little stickers with a window, and I'll show you how that works here in a second. And then there are 3 different options over here. Now, there is the fur, which is used for outdoors. This is called the Fur-Outdoors, actually for a reason. And they come in a variety of colors: white, beige, and black. Now, these are heavy duty, so if you were to put this on a little sticker like that to keep the wind off of your microphone, it's going to be very effective against heavy wind. Now, another solution is their what they call original version, and you would very easily rub your hand on it and find which way feels like it has the grain. Like, this is noisier on this side, but it's with the grain this way, so it's even quiet, so it's very, very quiet. And then once you attach this part here, you see how this part here has grain and little circles in it? That's the part I would usually stick to a material, and this is the part here that I would stick to a lavalier microphone. So I'm going to go ahead and show how this works real quick. If I were to take one of these stickers and peel it off, and then use this to attach to my lav, put my lav right there on the inside, and then I turn this over. You see how there's two different sides? This part here is the side I'm going to put on your skin. Or you could put it on clothing as well. And then if I were to stick this down, oops, I did that the wrong way. That would be a fail on my behalf, but I'm not a flawless person, so I'll leave it in the edit. Once I stick this downwards on that part, it's going to grab very effectively. Now, if you notice, it has a little tab there at the bottom, right, where you would stick the lavalier, which allows you to easily unwind this entire adhesive. So it comes on and off very quickly and easily. And this part here, because the grain is going this direction in line with the little dots, I don't know if you can see that, this is where the grain is going. So if I were to stick this onto something like a shirt, you know that this shirt is going to most likely rub this direction because that's the way gravity would pull it. It would basically swing like this over someone's chest while holding onto their shoulders. So if that's the case, I'm going to want to put the grain of it going in line with what I think it's going to touch. So if this were, like, for example, on the under layer here, and we would know that it's going to be on a shirt against the skin, then we would want to stick it on there where it's going to slide. But this here is going to be between these two layers. So because it's going to be vertically oriented, if you notice like that, it is most likely going to be sandwiched in there pretty well. But if it does make any noise, it's most likely going to be slide noise vertical for it. So if I were to put this on the underside of this particular mount, what I would do is stick this through and then pull it back to the point where you can see it barely sticking out. And then once I attach it on there, if I were to snug it in there, it's good to go. So it's not going to go anywhere. I actually did that where I was blocking my own light and stuff. So I got in my own way. It was my own worst enemy. But you can see it's not going to go anywhere. It is very effective. So if I had two hands and I was doing this not to camera, you would have seen it a lot easier. But when you want to remove it, it comes off very effectively and very easily. And this adhesive here is ready to be ripped off. Now, you can pull it straight up from the lavalier microphone and reuse this part here a few times. And as for the adhesive, it's not going to stick onto your lav and leave a whole lot of residue. So that's pretty cool right there. Now, this is the light wind option if you were to just stick this onto someone's shirt. And keep in mind, it does have a grain, so you want to find which direction is going to be best for the material. So if the material is shifting around this way, you're going to want it to go with the grain this direction. But if the materials are more sandwiched, like in there, and you know it's going to shift most likely up and down, that would be the way that you would want it to go with the grain. So it's kind of hard to see on camera, but the fur does go up on this side as opposed to down where it comes out. All of the grain of the fur is going that direction. So if I were to want to stick this onto an adhesive, again, I'm going to stick this onto the back, but not until I install my lavalier, and I'm going to double check that everything is looking the right direction. So it's needing to go upwards like that. I'm going to stick my window right on there. So it is centered very nicely and ready for you to stick on top of some sort of clothing or between two layers. So same as before, if you want to remove the adhesive back, then you can very easily just circle it on around and it comes off very easily. And then you can stick it sideways, or the way I'm going to stick it is actually mounted vertically here. So if I were to want to stick it right there onto the shirt, I'll get the angle I want. I'm getting a little tension out of this cable. That's my issue. So I'm going to stick that down just like that. And then you can route it over and then stick it down, reconnecting up the buttons. So you don't normally need to remove all the buttons and stuff when you're putting a lavalier on someone, but for this mannequin, it kind of helps a little bit. Now, if you notice, it's black, so it's going to hide itself very well in the shirt. And again, if you want to add a little piece, a little thin stripe of moleskin in there, that will help keep it down. So this is the heavy-duty fur version. Kind of hard to see on camera, sorry about that. But the fur is, the grains are going that direction, so that way it's going to resist a lot of wind from the top. And then it's not going anywhere. It's actually holding very well. So if I want to remove it, I'm going to have to completely do it when I mean to, and I have to commit, like tearing it off right there. Once you pull it through there, again, whoops, I kind of sandwiched it on itself. They also offer something called the Moleskin. Very soft. Now, this has a mesh on the back, and then it has the moleskin feeling. Now, this, you can't even feel how soft that is because your skin is probably too rough to feel it, but it is extremely soft. Now, if you were to do the same thing as before and you want to take your lavalier and mount it, you would put it on the mesh part, leaving the soft part to touch the skin, and then you would put your window on top of it like that. So once it's installed on that, you can stick it onto skin. It's going to hold very well from that. And because of this softness right there, it's going to go very easily on your skin or your clothing, wherever you want to stick it, very effectively. Now, this whole little bitty kit is ready to go at a moment's notice. So you can grab it and go if you need to stick it on someone. It's extremely effective. But if you run out of the little tape pieces and you need to buy some more, they do come in a big, huge bin right here. And if you run out of the original, the moleskin, or the fur covers, they do come also in a different size as well that you can get. And if you want, you can also get the big heavy-duty grab bag, which is really good. Sorry about it just going out of focus there. But it has a grab bag that's just made for the pro that is constantly pulling from it. And you can very easily grab exactly what you want when you need it right there. So this is the Bubblebee Invisible Lav solution bag kit. And it is ready to rock for you. If you're interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can click their links down in the description to go and check them out. Bubblebee Industries can be found at bubblebeeindustries.com if you're interested, and there's also links to them in the description below as well. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Sound Speeds. Be sure to tune in the future for more products that you may or may not have been familiar with, and as always, sound advice. Have a question you'd like answered or want to add something? Be sure to write it in the comment section down below. You can also make a suggestion for future topics of discussion. Again, comment section down below, or you can email me at soundspeeds@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss out on future sound advice.